This question is from Evert Herzenberg. Every day I watch videos of your talks and a question came up. Is reflected consciousness the same as witness consciousness?
A subtle question. First we'll see what the question is, and then we'll see why it's subtle, and then what is the answer to that. So what's the question? What is reflected consciousness? It's actually pretty easy. Right now, if we look into our own experience, we will notice we are aware. We are aware of things, but we are aware. When I say body, we know what we mean. This one. When I say mind, thoughts, memories, desires, sensations, each one of them corresponds to something we can locate. And when I say awareness, yes, we have a general sense of being aware, conscious, aware. That's the reflected consciousness. That's called the reflected consciousness, in Sanskrit, chidabhasa. The shadow consciousness, the reflected consciousness. And Vedanta says that is not the original consciousness. That is not pure consciousness or truly what we are. It's a reflection of that in the mind. It's a reflection of the pure consciousness in the mind. Now, I'll give you an example which I have used often, which can answer this question and also create confusions. We'll see how. So, two examples. One, both of which will answer the question, what is reflected consciousness, what is original consciousness, are they same? And will help to clarify the answer also. The first one is the mirror with the face. Suppose I put a mirror in front of myself and my face is reflected in the mirror. Exactly like that, when the mind appears to you, thoughts, for example, when you wake up in the morning, thoughts, memories, feelings, perceptions. Even perceptions are in the mind, by the way. So perceptions, they all appear, and you feel in all of them, I'm aware. It's a first-person experience. It's a subjective experience. So that subjective experience, the first-person experience, the technical term for that is qualia. It feels like something. That's because there is consciousness there. That's the reflected consciousness. And Vedanta says, just like the original face is here and the mirror is there and the face reflected in the mirror is there, exactly like that, there is mind, there's consciousness shining in the mind, and there is the real consciousness which you are. That's something we don't know. Why don't we know it? It's like the mirror. The mirror example is wonderful. The mirror example shows there is a mirror, there is a reflected face, and we see the reflected face. Just like we feel the reflected consciousness. We are sort of intuitively aware of the reflected consciousness. We are not even intuitively, phenomenologically aware. In our subjective experience, it's quite evident that we are conscious. Not only we are conscious of something, that we are conscious, that becomes clear. So that's like the reflected face in the mirror, which is visible. See, what is the characteristic of the reflected face in the mirror? It's visible, you can see it. You can't see your own face. You can't see your own face. But there are certain other characteristics. For example, the reflected face appears when the mirror is there. If the mirror is not there, reflected face will not appear. Reflected consciousness is evident when the mind is working. When the mind is not working, deep sleep, anesthesia. Reflected consciousness is not evident. And that's why we feel it's unconscious. We are not aware of anything. We are not even aware of being aware. That's because the reflected consciousness has disappeared. Also, most importantly, this face here, it's the real face. The face in the mirror is not the real face. This consciousness here is you, the consciousness. And that consciousness is not, quote unquote, the real consciousness. We'll come back to it. We'll have to revisit it again. Also, just implications. The face in the mirror is affected by the mirror. If you have a concave mirror, the face will appear in a weird way. If it's a convex mirror, the face will appear in another weird way. If it's a dusty mirror, the face will appear in a particular way. If it's a clean, polished mirror, the face will be a faithful reproduction of your real face. It's not even a face. It's the mirror. It looks like your face, but if you touch it, will you touch skin there in the mirror? No. You will touch the mirror, you will touch the glass. Similarly, if you try to investigate the reflected consciousness, all you will find is the mind. And the reflected consciousness is affected by the mind. When the mind is restless, you will feel, I, this conscious being, I have become restless. When there is pain in the mind, I am hurting. When there is excitement in the mind, I am excited. When the mind is alert and awake, I am alert and awake. When the mind is sleepy, I am feeling sleepy. When the mind falls into deep sleep, I am gone. So whatever happens to the mind seems to affect that reflected consciousness. Again, I am using seems. So this is one example. And if you use this example and then go back to the question which has been asked, is the reflected consciousness same as the witness consciousness, the original consciousness? That is the correct term, witness consciousness. In Sanskrit, sakshi. The witness reflected consciousness is called chidabhasa, and the original consciousness or witness consciousness is called sakshi. Sakshi Chaitanya or sakshi. So is the witness the same as the reflected consciousness? Is the original face the same as the reflected face? Our intuitive answer will be no. So that's one answer. No. But then I'll give you another answer. Yes. That's why it's a subtle question. Another example, let me give the second example. Those who have studied Advaita Vedanta, they will know these are two different models. One is called Pratibimbavada, another one is called Avachedavada. The reflection theory, the limitation theory. Now let's go to the limitation theory example. There's the window. You can't see it, I can see it behind you. And the window is made of rectangles. And if you look out into the sky through the window, or suppose you're in an attic room or something, there's a skylight and it's made of these rectangles. And you look out into the sky. What will you see? 4 different squares. One square sky. It's even more clear if there are rectangles and in the grill, in the skylight itself, there are circles and rectangles. You'll see a circular sky, a rectangular sky, a square sky, a triangular sky. But is the sky triangular? Is the sky circular? Is the sky rectangular? Not at all. Those are qualities belonging to the skylight, the window, in the ceiling. There are grills there. There's a lattice there, which is giving these shapes. But the sky seems to be divided like that. The sky itself has nothing to do with those square shapes or rectangular shapes or triangular shapes. Now, according to this theory, it's called the limitation theory. The limitations are entirely in the body-mind. They are not in consciousness. But consciousness appears to be limited. Now, here is the crucial thing. The rectangular sky or the triangular sky which you are seeing there and the real sky, are they not one and the same? Mm-hmm. They are one and the same. Let me repeat that. Are you following the example? Yes. Imagine you're lying back in bed and there's a skylight and you're seeing the blue sky, but the skylight has a design, a lattice or a grill. And the blue sky beyond now seems triangular. This triangular, there is rectangular. But I'm telling you, the rectangular sky and the triangular sky, they are not rectangular, not triangular. And when you are the sky that you are seeing through the rectangle, through the triangle, is actually the real sky. Even when it appears rectangular or triangular. Is this understood? Now, the rectangular sky, the triangular sky, and that's the reflected consciousness. The actual sky is the sky beyond, is the real consciousness. Is the reflected consciousness same as the real consciousness? Yes. Now, to get a real answer to this question, you see how subtle this question is. You'll have to put these two examples together. Both of these models are not ultimately true. They're meant to point out something which we have to grasp. What's the essential point between them? There is one consciousness shining through which seems to take on the properties of the mind. So while experiencing, there is the answer to the question. Reflected consciousness, same as witness consciousness? Yes and no. No, in the sense of the reflection, as long as it is firmly identified with the mind, like the mirror and the face in the mirror, then no, reflected consciousness is not the same as the real consciousness. Because what has happened there, the characteristics of the mind are predominant there. But while experiencing the consciousness through the mind, like the lattice in the, if you can distinguish what belongs to the mind, keep it in the mind, and the consciousness in itself, while looking through the grill, then you are accessing the real consciousness. Only problem is here, these are all objective, the sky is somewhere there. Here you're talking about yourself. That's what makes it more difficult. Why at all get into this tangle? Because you have to catch hold of the closest, subtlest, clearest thing possible. The closest, subtlest, clearest thing possible is the mind, even closer is the ego, and closer is the consciousness reflected in the ego, or the consciousness limited by the ego. That's the closest you can get to yourself. You can even get even closer, but then you would be yourself. You would be the Atman. Okay, we'll leave it at that.